Hello, welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show. I am Chad Vandelat, and joining us in studio today is Renee Duncan and Kirk Duckwall. We are the House Geeks. Today's topic will be building your real estate team. We'll be talking about how to select an agent, loan officer, photographer, title company, and those sorts of things. We do have a class coming up. We're looking for an interesting location. We're thinking the North Metro. We're thinking in about a month or so. If you have any ideas on locations, please write into the comments section below. Also, we have recorded one of our classes as a test run. We did put it up on our Facebook page and our website. So go to our website and look for the home buying class video that we have previously recorded. Sometime in the near future, we'll do a nice one. On
our website or on the YouTube page?
Both.
Both? Okay.
At some point in the near future, we'll be doing one in the studio here. But yeah, Kirk's over there messing around. I thought he'd be setting it up and we'd be ready to do the show by now. But
it finally became shareable. It was very slow.
Oh, awesome.
I'm working on that.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Renee. I know you love doing this. You guys will be seeing much more of Renee in the near future. We have said that she'll be joining us for the next 100 shows, right, Renee?
No, I got backed into this, and I'm sorry.
All right, we will negotiate.
We'll negotiate.
98, the next 98 out of 100 shows, Renee will be here with us, right, Renee?
We're gonna need a contract.
Let's base it off of likes.
We'll get the lawyers together and we'll let them hash it out.
If we get 3 people to say they like this show, Renee can be on.
No.
For the next 100 shows.
No, that's sad for so many reasons.
It was kind of a guaranteed number. Hoping. All right.
And
a whole bunch of people gave a like. Yay!
And remember, you can check us out every Sunday at noon on AM 950. The shows are also on SoundCloud and on our Facebook page. And a lot of them, or most of them, are on the website too as well, right, Renee?
Yep, they are.
Perfect.
You have it set up, Chad, so you're following. So any questions and whatnot, you're able to see. Because I'm not going to be able to see it if I'm recording.
I will. I'll go grab my phone.
Yeah, awesome. You tell me I'm not ready.
I left it out there just so there was no vibrations or noise.
How's it going?
This isn't already a mess.
I have to turn the video sound off.
Just don't lean it on the mic stand and have it on any sort of vibrate.
Perfect.
Also, happy belated birthday, Chad.
Oh, thank you, Renee.
Anybody else wants to wish you a happy birthday?
You know, I actually wished him a happy birthday on his birthday via Facebook.
Yeah,
and called him.
Renee. I know who my real friends are.
Good job. I did. I posted a GIF.
Oh, you
I
did?
went.
Oh, okay.
Renee always goes the extra mile. That's why we have her on the House Geeks team.
Mm-hmm. And this week, just, you know.
I know, I won't breathe.
Sounds like a wind tunnel through there. I'm not saying when you, it's just anybody who doesn't.
I'm a quiet breather.
That's not what anybody who listened to last week's show would have said.
That's why I'm not going to watch it.
Are we good to go?
We're good to go.
Good to go? Okay. One, two, three. You know, just for fun, I'm sure Facebook Live really wants to see this, but I do want to do a mic test just to verify. Hi.
Hello and welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show.
Hi, Renee.
Hi, Kirk.
it looks like it worked. Let's just listen.
Mic check, check one. Today's show will be sponsored by Coca-Cola.
I've always loved Coke.
Refreshing Coca-Cola.
Ready? Here we go. Welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. I'm Kurt Duckwall. Joining me is Chad Vandelot and Renee Duncan. Thank you for coming in again today for your second out of 100 straight shows. You're going to be joining us. Today we're going to be talking about building your real estate team. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Also, follow us on our Facebook page by typing in House Geeks. Look for the little house and glasses. And just follow us on housegeeks.com for the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools. Going to be continuing to add more great resources to that site soon to come as well. So talking about building your real estate team, your team, not so much for agents, but for home buyers and home sellers, who do you need? What are the people that you're going to need to move forward in this process? A lot of people will just go, okay, I'm gonna go get a real estate agent, or I'm gonna go shop for a mortgage. Well, there's a lot of people that are going to take part in this transaction, and the more you can have it lined up and set up, and some real estate agents, real estate brokers, they may already have a team that's kind of pre-built for you, so you can feel that out, and we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of that as well. So basically, just a quick breakdown of what a just general team might look like when you get ready to move forward into a transaction. You're going to want to have a real estate agent. You're going to want to have a loan officer.
This is if you're buying a home.
Yes, if you're buying. A loan officer, you will want to make sure that they have a relationship with a title company, or you have a relationship with a title company. I've definitely run across home buyers and sellers that have had past experiences and want to work with somebody again on the title side. And then a inspector. This is one kind of, we'll get into a little bit more in depth, but it's okay to have that person picked out before you find a house. A lot of times people don't, but your time is pretty limited from when you put in the contract to when the inspection contingency expires. So to not have that figured out, how you want to move forward with it. Once again, a lot of teams, brokers will have people that they'll suggest. Another one that kind of gets pushed to the side is contractor contacts, because a lot of people look at homes that may need a little work done to them, and they then, to feel comfortable with moving forward making an offer, will need some general numbers of what it may cost to do some of these projects. And if we once again wait until you get to that house to figure that out, you may cost yourself the time needed. I can't even think this last weekend, even with the snowstorm, how many homes you looked at the remarks and it was highest and best due by 4, highest and best due by 7. Renee, I think every one you helped with this weekend was a highest and best due by. I was out driving in the blizzard.
I thought this would be the best weekend to be out with buyers, because I didn't think we were going to run into that. But I think everybody else was thinking the same thing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, they found the four-wheel drive vehicles and went house hunting. So you need to be able to act fast. To act fast, you need to have your ducks in a row. So putting together this transaction team, or at least having this discussion with your agent, with your loan officer, because usually we're a first point of contact. And there are people that there are plenty of agents that don't have these teams pre-built. They're just like, you work on picking a loan officer. Here's a couple I've used in the past. That maybe they just don't do the transaction level to have those relationships in place. So, and if that's the person you choose to work with, then you will need to be prepared and build this team out.
And most full-time agents that have been in the business for a little while and do a fair amount of business will have preferred lenders and preferred title companies of which they have experience working with efficiently. Where that becomes important is there tends to be efficient communication amongst all members of the team, and there's clear expectations on all sides.
So is that where you were going to go?
Well, pretty much I was just going to say it's something to factor in when you're interviewing agents is to ask them, who do they already have relationships with to make the process as smooth as possible. And some people won't have many relationships. And maybe if you're on a tight deadline for moving or buying, or you have specific concerns, like you want to buy a house to flip and you're going to need certain kinds of contractors, factor that in when you're interviewing an agent, because that'll make the whole process much easier.
And I I've learned that, I've always been a big fan of the building out the team. But the thing that I learned over time was to be flexible with it, because maybe you do have the loan officer, the title company, the inspector that they don't have, but they have, the title, or they have a piece of the pie, and be willing to be flexible and allowing them to insert the person of choice and not just be like, oh, it's going to work most efficiently if you go this route, is to be able to work well with others. It's a good way to approach that. So let's get on to the, how to potentially pick an agent, as what should you look at in that part. And so the first thing I put down was,
Kirk, should I hire Aunt Patty as my agent?
Well, why? What gives Aunt Patty the qualifications, Chad?
Well, she's my mom's sister, and yeah, she's my mom's sister.
Is she a full-time real estate agent?
I don't know. We don't really talk much. I haven't seen Aunt Patty. I see her on Christmas and Easter primarily. So yeah, I'll have to call her up. What else should I?
So you don't see her that often. Does she work in the Twin Cities metro area as her primary area of focus?
Oh no, I think she's down a little southeast by Hastings more so.
So this is getting to there's a lot of people that are licensed in the state of Minnesota. And, when you look at the amount of part-time agents out there and you look at the turnover rate, is this a hobby job? Is it a hobby for this person to be handling one of the biggest financial transactions? Is this person not available to set up, and one of the reasons we have the team the way we do is in that scenario where I might be out running a showing or having an appointment, Chad or Renee could go pick up and help and facilitate that showing and still keep the conversations going about offers and everything and not having any lag, because that is a huge problem right now. I got a call yesterday from somebody who saw one of our Zillow advertisements, and it was not for our listing, but just one of the properties we were showing up on. And he's like, I can't reach my agent. I haven't heard from him in a couple days, and we submitted an offer, and I would like to know what's going on with it. and I had to kind of give them direction of how to deal with that. But it's if somebody, they're sick or they whatever might be happening, they need to really provide the ability to be somebody to be reached, somebody to facilitate showings. Otherwise, you're gonna lose potential properties that you're making offers on. Want to make offers on.
Absolutely, but thankfully in today's marketplace, there is pretty clear transparency. If you go on Zillow and search by an area, you start to notice what agents pop up. And you can go through and look at their reviews, see their past sales. Are they doing, too many transactions where they might not have time for you?
Well, that gets into a real good point. I want to stop you right there. Okay, so an agent's number of transactions is not really necessarily a fair way to gauge how good an agent they are. Okay, I think there are a lot of great agents that do between 12 and 25 transactions every year, and will provide wonderful service and be available for communication. I do get worried when it's under that 12 because they what is their experience level in the type of housing where you're looking when the transaction numbers drop. I mean, a market is something you need to be out feeling every day. It's different when they're working. You have a lower transactional, newer agent that maybe is working in a team. Then they have somebody to bounce off of and work off of. That's a little different than somebody on their own part-time. Are they going to be able to feel this out? We actually need to take a commercial break. I have so much more on this topic, I'm sure, as you can imagine, to get to. Talking about reviews, a little bit more about the sales. So I mentioned the downfall of the low sales, but let's start talking about the high sales and the things that can potentially cause as well. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Check us out online at housegeeks.com. Follow us on our Facebook page. We'll be right back. Hey, you got to talk in the first segment. Any questions? I suppose I could look.
Chris has some questions, but maybe those might be best handled off air.
Yeah, do you have a breakdown written? Yeah, we could get a checklist. I mean, that's kind of the breakdown where we're going with, Yeah, we could get a checklist. I mean, that's kind of the breakdown.
Oh, Renee is watching.
Thanks, Renee. I heard that.
That's why I didn't understand the first one, because it's a joke. And I have a poor sense of humor.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us about looking at buying or selling a home or just general real estate questions, you can give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Follow us on our Facebook page as well. Just type in House Geeks for the little house and glasses. Check out our website, housegeeks.com. Thank you, Renee, for building that awesome website. And we're going to keep adding some improvements to it, make it easier to get market assessments for your home if you're looking to make a move, and keep adding great videos to it. So today we're talking about building your real estate team. And so this can make your transaction as easy as possible. I'm discussing right now in the selection of looking for a real estate agent or real estate agent and their team as you're out there. And you brought up a great point, Chad, with looking at total number of sales and how that's not always a great way to gauge. I mean, so often we see people promoting themselves just based on the number of sales that they do. Well, you know what? Walmart does a ton of sales, but are they necessarily always the best at customer service? So let's take that into consideration, that sometimes, not the best customer service and sometimes the lowest prices. So as a seller, you might not want that mentality, right? So you want somebody to be able to put time into, whether you're buying or selling, put time into you and your specific transaction. And to do this, it goes back to having that well built out team, and to be aware of how many is too much, So you look at some of these teams out there with 300, 600 sales. I guarantee you that it is not them themselves running every buyer or dealing with every listing. It typically is assignments to agents farther down the chain. So, when you see teams that are self-promotional in I'm the person, nobody named specifically, that
say I'm John Jones' team, and I have 400 sales. And I'm looking at that and see, as a consumer, thinking, oh my gosh, John Jones does a ton of business. He must really know what he's doing. Well, the likelihood of me actually working with John Jones, if he is doing 400 sales per year, is, significantly less. Nobody has time to do 400 sales a year.
Right. So you want to gauge it as, okay, maybe I'm not working with this person, and is that okay with me? And then it's, what is their team and what is that experience level? Who is there to help me, and how are they going to help me, and what is the value that they're going to provide, right? So analyzing these teams appropriately, it kind of goes back to just looking at sales alone is not a great way to gauge it.
But then again, if they're only doing 5 a year, I would personally have a hard time keeping a pulse, having my finger on the pulse of the market if I was doing 5 a year. The way things are so fast and changing.
I honestly get most worried at under 12 or over 30 without support staff.
Sure.
Right? Somebody who's doing more than 30 transactions a year and does not have somebody helping with contract preparation or helping with showings or helping with a piece of that process, they are going to be so busy that things may fall by the wayside. Or, that's what I see and what I have seen out there. So that's kind of the marks. And so, is the person you are working with directly, make sure they have the staffing level to assist if they're over those marks.
And again, when you're evaluating agents, Zillow is one of the great places to look them up. You'll see their previous sales. You'll see past reviews. You can actually read through those reviews and get an idea. Do they respond quickly to phone calls? Do they respond quickly to emails? Are they available at most times? Or if they're not available, do they have somebody that can be available? And you can very quickly get an idea of the service that most particular agents do provide.
And that touches on one concern that I hear a lot, especially from first-time homebuyers. Some of them think they don't know what to expect from a realtor. They're thinking maybe you're 8 to 5. Maybe they shouldn't call you at 8 p.m. or 11 p.m.
They shouldn't.
And for some agents, they will have a certain schedule set up, but you should know that ahead of time. They should set expectations ahead of time. But other than that, if you're in the middle of a deal, in the middle of an offer, your agent should be available. or they should have someone that is available to you.
Somebody who's aware of the transaction, that knows what's going
Right.
on, available for contact. And that actually, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on here, which is an agent should be a main point of contact. If you cannot reach the title company because you have a question, if you cannot reach your loan officer because you have a question, if you cannot reach the inspector because you have a question, the agent should always be a main point of contact. And you should freely be willing to use that if you're not reaching the intended person. Now, do I know everything about the loan and what's going on? Do I know everything about where things are at with title and closing and all the numbers? No, but can I figure it out? Yes. Right?
And
So
building on that, Kirk, when agents have other members of the team, like loan officers and title companies that they've worked with in the past, it's more likely that the agent can get a hold of that title person, say at 8 o'clock at night, if something does come up, or the loan officer at 8 or 9, if they have more of a personal relationship,
Right.
a business and personal relationship. They're more likely to receive those calls.
And a lot depends on who the title company is and who the lending institution is that you're trying to reach. And we'll get into that a little bit more.
But accessibility is one of the key components when I'm trying to figure out which title companies I want to recommend. Accessibility is a huge component when I'm figuring out which loan officers I want to recommend. Inspectors, too. Accessibility to the inspector is a big deal. They're wanting shorter and shorter inspection periods. And if you can't get that inspector on the phone to answer questions about what came up in the report and how extensive it is to correct that, and you're under a timeline to get this done, or the contract defaults to certain things, being able to reach those particular individuals of the team at any given time is pretty crucial.
Yeah, it is what makes something come together quickly, is that communication. Well, coming up on another commercial break, I wanted to touch on, scope of knowledge that the agent has. Is this somebody that's going to be flexible, as you tend as a buyer to be flexible in your thinking? And so, you do run across the quote unquote specialty agents, serving Mac Groveland neighborhood in St. Paul for 22 years. Well, what happens when you go, yep, I'm going to Longfellow? What happens when, what? I want more house for the money. I'm going out to Eden Prairie. Building out making sure you have an agent that can move with you as you make the shifts. I think is very important.
And that goes to the tools that the agent has access to and their ability to analyze them.
To use them. Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, kind of get off the agent piece of it, and get into some of the other people and how to investigate them. All right, we'll be right back.
Well, Renee, you're doing so well. I think we're going to start negotiating at 99 out of 100 shows.
You're Mr. Chatty Cathy.
Mm-hmm.
You keep like.
He's cutting you off. You need to look at her to see if she's going to say something.
You're so quiet last time.
There we go. Okay, we'll touch on this super quick and then move on. Are you ready?
Sure.
Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Check us out online as well at housegeeks.com and follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in House Geeks, look for the little house and glasses. Lots of great videos up there, upcoming classes, Funny Photo Friday for a little humor. Was it you, Chad, that shared the like lion toilet thing?
No, I wish that was me. That was a great photo, though.
Yeah, that was pretty classy. I like that.
And
Was that you, Renee?
Mm-mm.
multiple responses asking if that was the commander-in-chief's restaurant.
Yeah, check it out on our Facebook page. We talked about scope of knowledge real quick about when researching real estate agents, and today's topic is discussing how to build out your real estate team. I do want to get off the agent piece of it and move on to loan officer, but just last thing is conditional awareness. And what I mean by this is an agent that at least has the common sense to walk up and say, look and see some conditional deficiencies and point them out, whatever that might be. Oh, shingles are curled. Looks like the roof might need to be replaced. Or, the windows have the seals broken on them, and that's going to come up in inspection and things like that. I mean, that's pretty visual. Anybody who's been out there doing it any sort of period of time should be relatively, in my opinion, basic knowledge.
Yeah, there's things wrong with every home on the market, even brand new homes. So every agent should be finding a couple things wrong with
or
any
least,
particular home that you're going in.
Yeah, points of awareness. I mean,
exactly.
When you come up to new construction, oh, I see that the slab has some cracks in it. Why? I mean, can that be very common in a new home? Yeah, it actually can. It depends on how they prepare. But is it something that's could be a sign of a bigger problem like bad soil conditions underneath or something along those lines? Just basic conditional awareness and the willingness to point that out. So moving on, getting into loan officers and putting together that piece of the team. So basically, you have a few different types of lending institutions. We're going to touch on the basic ones. So you kind of have like your credit unions or smaller local banks. A lot of times these are a lot more like correspondent lenders, but not always. So a question you want to ask is, are you holding these notes in-house? And there can be advantages to that, especially in the jumbo market. Right now, we're seeing advantages to the portfolio lending within the smaller banks. But that, is a lot of people will go to their small bank going, oh, I want to get my mortgage with them because I use them as my bank. Well, are they just selling off the loan and you're never going to be able to?
More than likely they are.
Right. Now, some do have in-house lending, so that's something to check in on. Then you have brokerages. They're basically, shopping all sorts of different mortgage options on the, conventional or FHA market across the board. So, it's funny because I've seen where the brokers or the correspondent lenders can actually get a better rate on the loan than what you can get just going directly to that bigger bank.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So think of it like the Expedia, where if you go to their website, sometimes you can get a better price than going right to the airline's website.
Or going to Best Buy. Sometimes Best Buy has a better deal than Verizon or T-Mobile does.
Right. So, it's looking at it that I personally would much rather go the route of the correspondent lender or the broker than direct to the bank if pricing is your main concern. I get it when we're talking service differential sometimes, that you're dealing with your little local bank and you have a great relationship with, especially if they're holding the notes in-house, that you may get that hand-holding service that you wouldn't get anywhere else, right? Because you know the people, you have a lifelong relationship. But if we're talking about most of the general public and you're looking at where am I going to get my best value, I look that route.
Well, and that goes to, I actually just met with a mortgage broker to see if he would be a good fit as far as a referral. He had a lot of experience with kind of your basic loan options, conventional FHA, DVA. He had experience with new construction, jumbo loans. He had kind of touched on all of the possible options in his career. So that's very helpful when you're in a situation where maybe your credit score is borderline or you just have a unique financial situation. Mortgage brokers tend to be more creative when it comes to problem solving and getting you qualified because they have broader knowledge base.
Well, yeah, they're not trying to fit you in this little box that the bank tells them, right? They have lots of boxes they can look at with lots of banks to try to make it work. That kind of leads to the big banks, right? And then it goes back to the boxes that you have these much larger lenders that can have really good pricing, depending. You really need to fit in that box perfectly. So if you're like, I would say 70% of the public out there, that's not going to be the route to go, or it could be a larger percentage to utilize those correspondent. I would say no matter what, because the correspondent lenders can ultimately use the bigger bank, and if that bigger bank is your bank of choice, you can at least see a comparison between the two without going to many people. They can pull both of them. I look for somebody you can meet in person. If you have a problem where you need to drop something off or whatever it might be, where they're going to be at, so you can swing by and lay it on their desk, whatever, talk in person. I think that is a huge piece to accountability. No 1-800 phone numbers. That if your loan officer has a 1-800 number and an extension and many states away, do you think they're going to be available after 5 p.m. to write you a pre-approval letter on this property that's multiple offers and everything's due by 10? No, they aren't, and you lost that house.
And listing agents are starting to feel prickly about encouraging their clients to accept offers from some of the really large lenders and some of the national lenders with the 1-800 numbers.
Yeah.
I've actually had listing agents ask me if my client would be willing to get pre-approved by another lender that's more local.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, on the customer service end, that was always one of my biggest concerns with some of the bigger lenders. I have seen that Nationwide, the online stuff, I have heard that Quicken is getting better with that, because I think they are introducing local agents or something to help with that.
And to clarify, if some people are not going to understand this, the reason why that can come up as an issue is just because you're pre-approved doesn't mean that's where financing ends. You can go through inspection and you have a set date for closing, and then financing falls through. And if certain companies have a reputation for that falling through before closing date, that's where realtors get prickly and would like for you to get pre-qualified somewhere else.
Well, and that's a great point to that. How often do we see your pre-approved for up to blah shows up in the mail, without ever running anything? So how good is that pre-approval? You don't know if that buyer's been underwritten, and that's another thing. When you're out there, does somebody have the ability to pre-underwrite and take those extra steps to make you as strong a buyer as possible? So you want to make sure you have a good loan officer that's going to be available for you after hours, is going to take the time. Kind of a lot of those same things we talked about with the real estate agent. Look at their reviews. I always talk about Zillow. In my opinion, it's a great research tool, and sometimes not always the best search tool. But for researching agents and loan officers and all that, it's a wonderful option out there.
Yeah, Zillow actually goes through it to make sure that every one of those reviews is a real person and a real client. I've actually had real reviews from real clients get denied for one reason or another. Maybe we're friends on Facebook. I don't know what the reason is, but I've had real reviews denied, which I actually like, because then I know people aren't just jamming all kinds of.
Well, yeah, I mean, what always worries me is if you're typing in mortgage reviews or agent reviews or whatever reviews, and if the first thing pops up 5-star and the little thing below it says add,
Yes.
Right?
That's paid for.
And it's paid for. What you need to look at is the non-paid, like what Consumer Affairs, I think, is a good for like larger banks, and just type in big bank and mortgage reviews and look at what shows up.
Exactly. Look through the first page or two as well.
And I'm not
Make sure they're not paid for.
And I'm going to say, it's not that I have a problem with every big bank out there and every loan officer. There's great loan officers at some of those banks and that I've worked with, but the key is making sure you find the right one who's going to make sure that everything is done correctly and can then project that confidence onto the listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Talk a little bit about title companies. A lot of people look at the real estate agent as the marshal the transaction and the glue, the main point of contact, which the agent should be, making sure that everything is happening. But a really, really good title company is going to facilitate that agent drastically in the ability to do that, because after the offer is made, they're kind of the one putting everything together, from the loan officer, from the agent, from there's a truth in housing inspection, from the inspectors and whatnot.
From the county.
Yep, from the county, state, all of that stuff. They juggle that and arrange the closing and closing time, and provide you all the final numbers typically to close. It's one of the questions I get most often. You get a property under contract, you've cleared inspection. The next thing is, how much do I need to bring to closing? Right? Well, that's the title company that provides that. So
in conjunction with the loan officer.
Yes, and the contracts that we write. So it's having a good title company is going to make that train keep moving. I know when we've had the title people in here from Network that I told a story about, a few days before closing, I'm looking down at my calendar going, I'm supposed to have a closing in 2 days and I'm not seeing it on my schedule. Well, Network wasn't closing it. It was some other company that the seller wanted to use that I hadn't heard when closing was going to be, and nor did they. So, that's not helping facilitate the transaction very well, moving things along, because it is kind of that their responsibility to schedule that up with the parties. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. So your husband watched the whole last show or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Most of us up on YouTube. He's like, he has to get through the Kirk parts to get to my parts, so it takes him a while.
Fast.
He has to pause it and take a break from Kirk.
Do you think
Have a snack, get his energy back up, do some push-ups, that kind of stuff,
Yep.
Kind of like you see us doing around the office.
that breaks from me?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I don't just randomly do push-ups at home, just in the office.
Come in, talk to me for 10 minutes, and then it's like, okay.
I usually do that before. Like, I have to gear up.
Oh, you walk in and you
talk to you. Yeah.
You've taken on the sigh. You do now do
I
these.
know.
You made fun of me the other day for opening up the office door. The ding, the office door is open. You and Joe were sitting here the other day when that happened. Now I walk in and I consciously go, okay, don't sigh.
He's exhausting. You have to say.
It's because he has so much energy for how, I can't believe how much he works and all the energy he has. It's amazing.
Oh. Ready? Here we go. Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us after the show, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Don't forget to check us out online at housegeeks.com. Download our free app, see all sorts of videos, expand your real estate knowledge, geek out on real estate, right? A smarter way to buy and sell homes. All right, so we're talking about building your real estate team. We've talked about agents, picking out loan officers and title companies. Kind of going back on the title company thing real quick, Chad, to one of your earlier points. Title should not shut their doors either at 5 o'clock, and there's a lot of companies that do out there. There's no doubt about it, especially your big box title companies. What I mean is that they tend to go right along with some of these bigger companies that are out there. A lot of 5 p.m. shutdowns out there. So, if there is an issue with the numbers and closing is tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, there's only one person that can make sure that that gets corrected, once the lender has the stuff, and that's title, to make sure they can get it over to the other title company. So
I've been in closings late on Friday, and the closing extends past 5 o'clock, and there's a minor issue. And at 5:05, they call the title company. Nobody there to answer it.
Nope.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Call the cell phone rolls right over to voicemail. 5 o'clock on the button on Friday. What does that mean? Sometimes it means the buyers don't get the keys and the sellers don't get the money, which means that now you're waiting until Monday. So where's the truck with all of the buyers' belongings in? That might be parked out front of a house for a couple days.
in Minnesota, we have the Minnesota Friday, which is really Thursday at 3 p.m., during the summer.
Yes.
Go to the cabin.
And that's one of the reasons I've been scheduling closings on Thursday now instead of Friday.
Yeah.
Take Friday off, take a partial day on Thursday, do the majority of your work on Friday, but then you have a buffer day in between. Should there be some unforeseeable reason why it gets delayed a little bit.
So let's talk about inspectors. We only have a few minutes left. I want to make sure we touch on everybody in the team. So inspectors, this is one where don't be cheap. And I have no problem drilling that. We talked about in the class we just did. Don't be cheap when it comes to getting a home inspection. And for sellers out there, doing pre-inspections, not a bad idea.
In certain cases.
Yeah, especially in the market, the way that it's moving, to be able to have a fully, printed off inspection ready for a buyer to view. And maybe you even had some items that did get flagged. And keep this in mind as sellers. An inspector that finds an issue in a pre-inspection, you want to know about that, because if you don't know about it then, and the buyer does their inspection, then they're going to know about it before you, which means they're going to come up with their resolution and their costs and all of that. If you do the pre-inspection, you can figure out a lot of things ahead of time. So once again, even when getting ready for a listing, talk to the agent about who they recommend as good inspectors, or do your research, and find some places. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, geez, should I get inspector advice from a realtor?" They're going to just want to push the transaction through. Okay, well, I'm not saying that there aren't agents out there that might think like that, but those are what I call single transaction agents, because if they do that to you, they will probably never get a referral from you. You want an inspector. I want an inspector that's going to find the problems, buying or selling side of it, so that way they can get corrected, everybody can be happy, and they get done. So inspectors, don't be cheap with it, especially, buyers, your uncle who is a contractor, your aunt who is an engineer, your buddy who's a handyman, they are not home inspectors. They do not have a list. They're not going to crawl up into the attic and be pulling insulation away or looking around at check wiring, walking all over the place, getting dirty, opening up furnaces, you name it, crawling through crawl spaces for you on your inspection. They're going to walk around with 20 minutes. And
that looks good.
Oh, this outlet's got a little scorching over here. Oh, I popped the attic thing, looked up, I saw a water stain. That's not really figuring out the problems. And a home inspector is going to spend 4 hours in a house, typically, if they're doing a full-blown inspection. So you want to make sure that that's getting done for you. Stagers and photographers. Okay, first of all, if you ask the question of your real estate agent, who does your photography, and they go, oh, I do. I cover my own photography. Well, you know what? I know a lot of people that do their own plumbing or a lot of people that do their own auto mechanic work, and they seem to always have problems with the work that they do. A real estate photographer is that. They understand the angles, the lighting, how it needs to look. I'm not a real estate photographer. I know that.
I have about $4,000 worth of photography equipment. I have a nice camera. I have multiple nice lenses, but I take pictures of my kids and plants and bugs. I don't understand real estate photography like a real estate photographer does.
And I think, Renee, you would agree with that, hands down, being that that's the background you came from.
Yes.
know?
Unlike many other types of photography, real estate photography is highly skilled and specific. You can learn by Googling how to shoot food or product or portraits, and it can come out looking really nice. With real estate photography, it's completely different. You can't just Google it and understand what you need to do,
Well, it's not a studio. You're not able to set the lighting perfectly on a table that you could do with
even lighting, most people don't understand.
Yeah,
lighting, you can't just walk in and do it. It doesn't matter if you have a $10,000 camera, that's not going to get you a good real estate photo if you don't know how to shoot real estate.
Right. Yep, it's photography, and it's such a critical piece. It is the face of your property.
Well, Kirk, houses are selling really quickly. Are the photos really a big deal in a market where everything decent sells?
Well, I can sell a Ferrari with bad pictures for $500 too. Does that mean I'm getting all the value that I could out of it?
Exactly.
Right.
The photos are the first showing. When people decide they want to see a house, it's because they already like it. The reason they already like it is because of the photos that are being presented online. If you're not attracting as many people as possible in the shortest period of time, the price is going to suffer.
Real quick, want to touch on the staging aspect of it to go along with the photography. If you're looking to sell, having somebody that can assist with the staging process, whether it's assisting with staging with existing furniture or staging with vacant, that is very, very important because it brings that perspective in to those photos. We did a great video, top 5 tips to get the most money for your home. Go to our housegeeks.com website. You can pull it up there. You can see there's an example of staging, bringing perspective to a room. So it is really, really, really important. We're talking about 10, 15, kid you not, 20% spreads in poorly presented homes to very well presented homes. If you do not believe me, you can reach us at 612-207-5388, and I'm happy to show you many, many examples of where this is the case. I've taken over listings that were expired listings, and all I did was stage them and reshoot them, put it back on for the same price, and sold the home within a couple days.
Also, if you do not believe him, you can go to greatupstaging.com and click on home staging and see some actual stats from the National Association of Realtors.
Awesome. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed the show. If you have questions for us, again, 612-207-5388. We'll be back next week.
Good show.
What was the, we'll stay live for a second. What was the numbers on, I haven't seen the updated numbers. Do you remember?
From the association?
Yeah. Because I think the numbers I ran locally came out higher, which went, the way our market's moving.
Well, it's from, I don't know what the date is from, but it's on the website. If you click on home staging, there's stats explaining the value.
Gray Duck Tavern.
Staging.com. You're overcomplicating it.
But I found
No,
it.
he just always thinks about beer.
Where would...
Click on, are you on the site?
Oh, I'm trying to put it up on the board for our Facebook Live viewers to see. Since software here. But, oh.
Scroll down. Scroll up a little bit. Click on home staging. So, yeah, 81% of buyers say stage property is easier to visualize. 46% of agents say it makes prospective buyers more willing to walk through a home. 45% of buyers agents say staging positively impacts the value of the home when it's decorated to the buyer's taste. 28% of buyers are more willing to overlook faults of a property on a staged home.
So does that mean that 55% of agents are idiots, that they don't realize that?
And then 32% of buyers agents believe staged homes increase the dollar value buyers are willing to offer by 1 to 5%.
1 to 5%.
90% of buyers are viewing homes online prior to viewing the home in person. Of course.
I mean,
I'm surprised it's not 100.
the numbers I've seen as far as locally, vacant, poorly presented to done and sold is probably the 5 to 10% mark. So, all right. Bye, Facebook. If I can actually make this show up, I can turn off our Facebook feed one of these days.
So what you're telling us is still watch out for what we're saying then.
Yes, still watch out. You cannot swear yet. We will be able to do that shortly. All right.
I can't take it.